Hey, what's up, rock stars? It's Rox with a little bit of talk about what's at the top of the blogs. I got cramps today. I just don't understand why I still have to have cramps at 50 fucking years old. Oh my God, I'm so over it at my 14 fucking years old. Oh gosh. Anyway, you guys, that's not what you're here for, right? Okay, first story up. Let's talk about Facebook changing their name as the regulators from the government are breathing down their necks because of bad business practices. I talked to you guys last week or a couple of weeks ago about the whistleblower, Frances Hogan, I believe was her name. I think she is the catalyst for all of this happening. Not that Facebook hasn't already had problems in the past with people complaining about how they do things there. We know that so much misinformation is spread on Facebook, and that it is in general, in my opinion, just a toxic platform. There's all kind of shit go down on Facebook. I just finally just got off of Facebook some years ago, and I have no time or energy for it. It's just way too much. Y'all be cutting the fuck up on Facebook, in other words. I'm sure Facebook has many of its positives, you know, but for me, at least, it felt like the negatives outweighed the positives. So I was just like, yeah, not for Roxanne. I'm going to stick with Instagram. Anyway, and we'll see how Instagram turns out since Facebook has Instagram now. But anyway, they plan on changing the name. They say that the name change will come next week at Facebook's annual Connect conference. I guess this is when all of the big names, the who's in Facebook all get together and discuss. And they say that Mark Zuckerberg is going to then announce what the new name will be. The new name will also usher in a new way of things at Facebook. They're going to be concentrating on the let me get this right, child. They're going to be concentrating on the metaverse. And what is the metaverse, you ask? Well, I read up on it, and it said it's a process of combining virtual and augmented realities technologies into a new online realm, okay? So, for example, you could virtually go to a business meeting, okay? And then you can stroll out of the business meeting and virtually go over to a virtual Starbucks and hang out with your friends, okay? You would use what is the word? A digital avatar, okay? And you would be navigating this metaverse that way. Now, to me, even though I still don't really get the whole metaverse thing, it just sounds like if we're just going to be conducting our lives digitally and in this online realm, what happens to society? Like, we don't have any face-to-face, you know, touch-on-touch contact any longer. It's just weird to me, you know? But I mean, I guess that's the direction that the world is heading into. We definitely are a computer-based, internet-based, World Wide Web-based society. So, I mean, I guess that's what it goes with, but I just want somebody to dumb it down for me and explain exactly what this whole metaverse. I want you to give me a bitch don't know what the damn metaverse is, and I'm gonna need you to explain it to me in layman's terms version of what this new direction that the Facebook people are going in, okay? But but I guess it's just going to be an all-around change. Something tells me that Instagram will go through its changes, the same with WhatsApp. That's also owned by Facebook, and everybody is just going to have to deal with it because people cannot live without Facebook, people can't live without Instagram, and people can't seem to live without WhatsApp. So Mark Zuckerberg still comes out on top, even with the government breathing down his neck. These things will continue to go on. We just gonna wrap it in a nice, new, pretty bow. Okay, but it's gonna be the same shit probably on the inside. All right, you guys, next story up. We're going to send up a rest in peace to Colin Powell. He was a military, heavily decorated military man, served over 40 years as a public servant to this country. He helped really shape the U.S. national security as we know it today. He was famously known as the general who led our country into war in Iraq, something that probably plagued him in the later years of his career. But besides a couple of little skirmishes, this man, like I said, was a heavily decorated military official, had 11 military decorations, okay, which is an extreme accomplishment, from the Purple Heart to the Bronze Star to the Soldier's Medal, I mean, amongst many others. His career started with the Nixon administration and continued on throughout the George W. Bush administration, as a whole bunch of presidents, okay? I mean, I can think of Nixon, Johnson, Carter, Reagan, first Bush, Clinton, second Bush, okay? That's a lot of presidents, administrations that he's gone through. And in every administration, they were always very much impressed with his knowledge, with his abilities. He was promoted. He retired actually in the Clinton administration, but he was brought back as a Secretary of State during George W. Bush's administration. That's when I told you that he had a couple of skirmishes, one being that even though he had a feeling that George W. Bush was not being completely honest with the situation in Iraq, he still supported George W. Bush in going over to Iraq and starting that war when it wasn't necessarily what needed to happen. This happened after September 11th. You guys remember all of that, weapons of mass destruction and everything. So he actually was very much criticized for what he did. But other than that, we still cannot forget about all of the accomplishments that this man, many times, first black man to do such and such and such and such, hold all of those offices, was definitely the ceiling breaker for many of those positions. And you know, someone that we still as a black community was proud of, even if we did not always align with his beliefs. I always felt that Colin Powell was most concerned with country, and that showed in his dedication as a military man. What I read when I was reading up on him, it was interesting that he actually was a registered independent up until he was 60 years old. In 1996, he finally registered as Republican. So he was not a Republican that whole time. He served in Republican and Democratic administrations. And his presence was definitely known. And like I said, shaped much of what we know as our security, our national security today. So he is somebody that has made our community proud. Like I said, even if you did not always agree with what he felt was best, we definitely have lost a celebrated hero. I don't know when his funeral will be. I wonder if what's the situation with Lion and State? What do you have to be in order to do something like that? Or you have to be an actual politician that held political office? I mean, he was a Secretary of State, so we'll see how that goes. Colin Powell was still married to Alma Powell. They have been married since 1962. He leaves behind 3 children, Linda Powell, Anne-Marie Powell, and Michael Powell. And I'm assuming grandchildren, a host of other family and friends. Definite loss for our country. Rest in peace to... You guys, a much lighter story. Let's talk about Dancing with the Stars, and most namely, let's talk about the 2 black people that are left on Dancing with the Stars. Actually, there's 3 black people, I believe, that are left. One of them, I don't even remember the guy's name. He's a black guy. Dang, what is his name? But most people have been keeping their eye on Iman Shumpert and Kenya Moore, basketball player and Real Housewives of Atlanta, respectively. Those 2 are still hanging in on the show. I don't know if you guys watch Dancing with the Stars. I actually like to watch Dancing with the Stars because I just have I have love for all things dance. I just love to see people dance. And I was a little hesitant to watch this season because last season I was pissed that Nev from Catfish did not win. He should have won. He was robbed. He was robbed. But it seems like every year they have somebody from the fucking Bachelor, the Bachelorette win. And that's what happened last season. And I think the season before. So this season I was skeptical because they had that damn Matt James. I think that's his name. But I don't think he's on the show any longer from the last season of The Bachelor. And he already got on my nerves. And then they had him on there. And I was just like, oh, it's going to be some more bullshit. ABC, Disney pulling, you know, the wool over our damn eyes. But I went on and watched anyway because I was very interested in seeing how Kenya Moore would do. I knew that because she's come from pageantry and she has, you know, you have to train in those kind of things. You have to train in dance because you need to know how to be poised. You need to know how to carry yourself. And so they give you dance lessons a lot of times just so that you can know how to center yourself, so that you can move gracefully, not necessarily meaning that you need to be a dancer. But, you know, it used to be talent portions of the pageants and all of that stuff. So I figured Kenya Moore probably still had a lot of that under her vest, even if it had been something that she hadn't tapped into in a long time. So I was interested in seeing it. And I have been pleasantly, I guess, surprised, not surprised, because like I said, I thought she might have had it in her, but she's been doing very, very well, you guys. It's so refreshing to see Kenya Moore in a different light because we see her on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Sometimes can be toxic. The show, okay? The environment can sometimes be negative. And just to see her in this role, and moving so gracefully, doing so well, because it's obvious. I mean, she's 50 years old. Our bodies don't move the same as some of these very young girls that are on the show. You know, we have a professional gymnast on there. We have people that worked in Broadway. I mean, there are people on there that definitely are giving her a run for her money. And she's been hanging in there. Yes, a couple of times the judges have had to save her. But in my opinion, she needed to still have been there, you know, other than some of the other people. And the judges saw it the same way, so they've kept her on. But she's been doing excellent, you guys. It really is nice to see her in this light. So you guys should tune in. As far as Iman Shumpert, it's something about being extra, extra tall and gangly. It just is weird to me to see. So I've been wondering when he's going to go. I think he has more of the, everybody is rooting for the underdog vote. You know, he definitely won't be one of the finalists, but he's been doing well as well, because even as a basketball player, as a sportsman, they also sometimes have to take dance lessons or just lessons, again, to learn how to center yourself, know how to have quick feet, especially football players. You know, they take a lot of dance lessons because when you're a dancer, you know how to recover. You know how to catch your back, you know, catch a fall or catch it. So those are the kind of things that a lot of sportsmen, and most namely football people, you know, that's why they take dance lessons. But him as a basketball player, he's been hanging in there. He has a very small dance partner, which is also a challenge because she almost just comes to his waist, you know, so he be way up here, she be way down here, but they seem to make it work. And they've had a couple of very good performances as well. So yeah, I mean, I just think he deserves to still be there. But like I said, I don't know if he'll be a finalist. I unfortunately don't know if Kenya will be a finalist either. For some reason, I just don't believe that they want her to, you know, to go further. But she's been doing great. I believe that they want the young girl from YouTube, who actually is doing very well. I think her name is JoJo. She's doing very, very well. And she is the first openly gay contestant who is dancing with the same-sex partner. Okay. And even though it sounds like it's something that they were trying to do just to, you know, you know, at first when I heard about it, I was just like, oh, here they go with something. But actually it's been working very, very well. And the girl is very talented, and she does very well. So I have a feeling that she at least will be in the final two. Okay. If not the winner altogether. So, but yeah, that was way more than you wanted to know about Dancing with the Stars, huh? But somebody asked me about it, so I thought it would be fun to put in here. You guys check out Dancing with the Stars. Have you been watching? What do you think about Kenya's performance? All right, you guys, back to a serious subject. Let's talk about Howard University, and the students there staging a coup, if you will. You know, protesting about the living situations, the living conditions that the students are forced to live in when they go to the school and stay at the dorms. Okay, this is not the first time that we've heard this about Howard University. This actually is not the first time that we have heard this about any HBCU. Okay, HBCU dorms historically are fucked up. Okay, and it's too bad that I have to say that. We know that in general, HBCUs do not get the funding, and they have to do the best that they can. Okay. With that being said, Howard University is not one of those schools. That school is very expensive to go to, and you are spending thousands and thousands of dollars to go there. You would think that at some point that they would focus that money on making sure that the dorms are at least livable. Okay, but I can tell you from Joe being at Southern, okay, Southern is nothing like Howard. Actually, Joe got into Howard, but it was too expensive for him to go there. And we was just like, you can't, we can't do that. Okay, so he went to Southern. He stayed on the dorms for half of the first semester that he was there as a freshman. After that, he went and stayed with a friend at their apartments over by LSU. And then when he became a sophomore, we ended up just getting him an apartment. And he stayed at the apartments over by LSU, and then just drove to drove to Southern for his classes, because the dorms were just it wasn't in good condition. They were freezing cold, okay? They had mice, and they knew that they had mice. They had signs around that would say, you know, beware mice. And, you know, there were a couple of times that Joe actually came face to face with a mouse. And if any of you guys have seen Joe on my Instagram, he is terrified of bugs and rodents, like unnaturally so. Okay. So, that definitely wasn't going to work. And that was really the last straw. But it was all kind of things that was going on in those dorms. And I've heard the stories for years. I didn't go to an HBCU, but my husband went to Southern as well. My girlfriend, Simone, went to Southern. And I've had friends that went to Howard and Hampton and Tennessee State and Savannah State and like all of these HBCUs, FAMU, a lot of them. I have heard complaints about this all over. Okay, so Howard has had a sit-in, and they have basically said they are not moving until they get the administration to give them what they want. Okay, it's homecoming time. They said, we will disrupt homecoming. We will make sure that nothing goes down with homecoming if we have to, because the administration think we playing. Okay, they are playing in our damn face. They want us to get in closed door meetings. They want us to, you know, they want to pull us to the side and talk to us privately. And this is something that the students feel needs to be transparent, where everybody can kind of know exactly why is it that Howard thinks that it's okay that their students will live in this condition. Okay, now that Howard is having that go down, JB, this is for you. Okay, here in Atlanta at the AUC, the students there, you know, from Spelman, Morehouse, and Clark Atlanta, they have also decided to get together. They're having a sit out in the, you know, in the area, the outside area at Clark University. And they have pretty much the very same complaints that Howard and many of these other schools have, that the dorms are just not livable. And it's not fair that these Black kids, you know, because that's historically, that's pretty much who is at a HBCU, you know, that they have to live in these conditions. All right. Mice, rodents. No. Okay. And that can breed disease and germs and like all of that. So we'll see what happens. But this has been an age-old argument. They may have more ground now because of social media. It gets the message out to the masses. More and more people know about it. It brings more attention to it. Howard especially, I know that they don't want this kind of attention brought to them. But yeah, I mean, it's not nothing new. And if you are a rock star out there who went to an HBCU who had the exception to the rule and said that your dorms were fantastic, then you guys go on and, you know, let me know. I'm sure that there's a certain type of experience that you can only get from living in the dorms. You know, the camaraderie of being around people that are in the same boat as you. You kind of forge like a certain union with these people, and, you know, you kind of become a team. But it's still not fair that these kids have to deal with like mice. I'm telling you, that's where I would draw the line. Like, I just can't live with mice running around, okay, and scratching around on the walls and So anyway, like I said, if you went to an HBCU and your dorms were actually very, very nice, then you guys go on and let us know, because those will be the schools maybe some kids need to look into. All right, you guys, next story. So it seems that 21 people survived a plane crash. Oh, you know, I don't even know where I don't know where the plane crash was. But they were headed to Boston for a basketball game. Okay, so I guess this was a private jet or a private airplane that they were going on. The headlines are a little bit deceiving, because when you hear plane crash, you believe, you know, your immediate thought was that the plane was up in the air and that it somehow lost power or something went wrong, and then that it fell down to the ground and it crashed. Well, that's not exactly what happened here. What happened here was that the plane was on the runway to take off, and the plane could not get up enough speed to get in the air, okay? And once they ran out of runway and they still weren't in the air, well, you are still going very, very fast, even if it's not fast enough to get in the air. So what ended up happening was they crossed the road, they crashed through a fence, and they ended up in a field across from the airport. And the plane ended up catching on fire. So it was never in the air, okay, which was probably the best thing. These people, you know, nobody ended up getting injured. One person actually complained about back injury. I was like, look at them trying to get their lawsuit going already. Even though I probably would look into suing too, because why the fuck we can't get this plane off the ground exactly? That's exactly why I don't like flying now, because of human error, things like this. I mean, I don't know if it was human error for the plane, but anyway, I mean, I think we're going to thank God that nobody was hurt on the plane. Like I said, 21 survivors and 1 back injury. I think that was a good day.